I wanted to talk for a few minutes about rumors and not taking things at face value. No, this is not about like Lego leak rumors or anything like that, though those are often fun to kind of play around with and brainstorm about. No, rather, this is something else. A couple of days ago, maybe last week at some point, I put out a video talking about Mixel sockets and some of my problems with them. One notable issue that I have is that Lego doesn't really recolor these pieces outside of dark gray and light gray, and a lot of people commented on those videos basically suggesting that Lego can't make them in those other colors due to various reasons. I saw a lot of different reasons in the comments, one saying that the original designer of the socket had like left Lego or something at some point, so Lego couldn't recreate it, which just take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt. But another comment that I read that seemed to be repeated more often was that Lego couldn't make sockets or toe ball pieces in other colors due to tolerances. And now this one I can understand, because here's the thing. We all know that colors like reddish brown, for example, especially around certain eras of Lego, or lime green with certain eras of Bionicle, can be fragile. Part of the reason for that is because of the color included. It's not always just about the plastic, but about what has to go into that plastic to give it that color and give it its qualities. And whatever you put into it is going to lend some qualities to it. So when I look at a piece like this, I say, okay, I can kind of understand that if it cannot come in another color because the ball here would be too loose or too tight or put too much stress on this. But here's the thing. Lego has made the toe ball in other colors, outside of dark gray, outside of light gray, outside of black even. And they've also made this socket outside of dark gray and light gray as well. That one might be a little more obscure. We've all seen Lego as they've slowly started to transition into red toe ball pins. That's not what they use solely, but they do use them on occasion. And of course, we've also seen them change the axle version between light gray as well as dark tan. Both of these can be used with Mixel joints just fine. But what about that socket? Well, this is a Lego piece as well. This is a stud shooter with a socket built in. I've only seen it on one set, but I did not look up the history of this piece, so surely it shows up elsewhere. This is from a fire truck specifically. And the thing is, this works just fine. There are no issues with this. I have not had this crack. Now, I only own one of these, so I can't speak to every single one of them that is out there. But if Lego can do this, then something else is going on. And my thought is, it probably has to do with design language. What do I mean by this? Well, I released a video somewhat recently talking about black friction pins specifically. And Lego has been very unwilling to recreate that piece, though they have gone out of their way to create other types of axles, pins, etc. in various different colors. That one they haven't. And I've thought to myself, well, why is that? I can think of a handful of reasons, and that's not the point of this video. Part of it comes down to that design language, right? You cannot guarantee that anybody who picks up your item off of the shelf is not buying it for the first time. And so you want your product to be as easy to understand as possible for them while being broadly appealing. Even if it is something like an 18 plus set, it doesn't guarantee that an 18-year-old is going to buy it or that 18-year-old has experience with Lego. And so it makes sense for these pieces to come in different colors to be easier to spot, to make the building process faster and more enjoyable, depending on what your idea of enjoyment is. But here's the thing. Black friction pins absolutely could come back in theory. Part of what I touched on in that video talked about how Lego still uses red 2-length axles and black 2-length axles interchangeably, sometimes even in the same set. And oftentimes, it is done where that piece will not easily be mixed up with something else in the set. Well, I have built sets from Lego that contain very few 2-length axles, but a number of friction axle pins. And so my thoughts are, well, in that case, where the axles are not important, make the axles red, make the pins black, and thus they do not look the same. They're different colors within that same set. Essentially, each set is its own little atmosphere, environment in which you're going to build. Because Lego, just as easily as they cannot guarantee that the person buying that set will be buying their first or their 50th, they also can't guarantee that that won't be the last set that they buy. I think that there's some real staying power with this. But anyway, going back to the sockets here for a moment, the reason I wanted to touch on rumors specifically is that there are a lot of people who will take Lego at their word, and rightfully so. At some points, Lego is their own designer, right? They are first and foremost where the information about their sets, about their pieces should come from. Because if anything, if any company knows about Lego, it's Lego. But sometimes we get information that is incorrect from Lego, and sometimes we get information early from other sources that turns out to be true. Sometimes we also get information from the sources that turns out to be false. No, it's important to know when someone tells you something can or cannot be done. Ask yourself why. Sometimes there are good reasons for it. The reason I hinted at Lego maybe not making black 2-length friction pins right now is that they already have a 3-length black friction pin on the market. If they were to go out of their way and recolor that as well to give us a different version of that piece so as not to mix the two up, I think then it would be valid to bring back the old pin. And it would, of course, help to drop the price of that piece because I don't consider that a collectible. It's one thing if Lego was to bring back, all of the old Bionicle masks, for example, but recolor them in only rare colors because that would devalue things that people have spent a lot of time and money on. But for something like black pins, well, yeah, people have gone out of their way to buy them, but not for collection purposes. Not per se, anyway, because that's not their main purpose. At the end of the day, if Lego wanted to, if they wanted to go outside of the mold for a change, and the pun's not intended here, but hey, we'll take it, right? They could absolutely make these sockets in new colors if they wanted to. Doesn't mean that they have to, and for the most part, dark gray and light gray do just fine. I would love to see black in there as well, just because black is sort of the universal neutral of Lego, right? There are many places where you can use that color that gray might look a little bit off, and I would like to see white as well. But at the end of the day, just know, just because you think something can't be done doesn't mean that it's not true. I've also heard a lot of people say the same thing in relation to, and this is pulling something out of thin air here, so a little bit of throwback. The Tahoe Stars mask. A lot of people saying, well, they couldn't bring that back. They didn't have the original mold. But Lego can remake molds. They have done it in the past. They have unretired things that have been retired. It's possible. It's not always feasible, not always necessary. And I believe part of the reason that Lego did not give us the Tahoe original mask for 2010, instead giving us the Stars version, was because it used an axle connection, and Lego basically has this internal rule that if you have an axle connection, the piece is going to be made of polypropylene and not ABS, so as not to snap off that axle. Now, there are exceptions to this, of course, and I think an exception could have been made here, or at the very least, that piece could have been made with similar dimensions to the original, but made out of polypropylene, and that would have been fine as well. Again, that's not what the video here is about. At the end of the day, just know, like I said, keep going back to it. When something doesn't seem like it can be done, ask yourself why. And if you think you can do it, you're probably right. If other companies are capable of doing it, Lego can too. Lego is, at the end of the day, the largest brick producer, one of, if not the largest toy producer, and one of the most profitable as well. So, in some ways, they do have a responsibility to cater to their audience, but more importantly, they have a responsibility to cater to accessibility. I wanted to say universality. How would you phrase that word? I don't know, but making it universally available. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you want to join the conversation, you can check out the comments below, or of course you can check out the Discord, Instagram, or Patreon if you want to support channel, get the perks in the description. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care.